Hey everybody, Nick here, and today I got a review for you this little guy. This right here is the MaxMadCo Bolt Action Pen, I believe in naval bronze. But at the very least, I know it's a MaxMadCo Bolt Action Pen. But regardless, whatever it is, I like it. And I want to thank my buddy Peter for sending it along, because it's a cool little pen, and I wouldn't have gotten a chance to handle it otherwise. First off, a quick size comparison here. Here is a Parker Jotta next to your MaxMadCo, your just boring little Bic mini pen. Your Pilot G2 for size. This is a Prometheus Alpha in titanium. This is a Hinderer Extreme Duty. And the Coeco Lilliput fountain pen. So there's your size comparison. Then finally, I just want to show you quickly how it works here. You've got this little bolt action J shape up here. When you press the bolt down, the tip comes out, and then when you slide it back over in this direction, the tip stays out. And so to put the pen away, you just slide the bolt back into that position. To deploy the bolt, you slide it over to here. Easy. Nice, simple, happy. And it's made out of some sort of a bronze, and you can see here that there's a little piece inside here. That's actually, it appears to be made out of some kind of a polymer, maybe a Delrid, something like that. But either way, it's a solid little chunk. No concerns whatsoever there. So let's go on ahead and jump into the good, the great, the bad, and the ugly of your MaxMadCo Bolt Action Pen. Okay, so on the good side, first and foremost, this is a really solid pen. There's not much to it here. There's a bottom cap that has a spring in it. There's this top portion, and then there's this little part in the middle there, which is permanently secured in there. There's nothing really to go wrong here, particularly. Unless you lose the spring, the pen is going to work absolutely just fine. And because it's all one big chunk, in this case of bronze, but they do it in other metals, you know, it's a very sturdy pen. I would have absolutely no problem misusing this pen, say to push a bolt out of a hole, something like that. I mean, there's nothing I can really do to hurt this pen. I could throw it out the window right now on the pavement, and yeah, it might be scratched up a little bit, but I'm pretty sure it's going to be just fine. And it's nice proof that you can make a really solid pen that doesn't look tactical. Take that in the... The weight on this guy is good, particularly just in the hand for writing. It's got a really nice weight in that way. It feels great in the hand. It's not too light. It's not too heavy. Weight-wise, 1.69 ounces, which is a little on the higher side in the pocket, but it's about the same as your Alpha Titanium. But, you know, it is heavier than some of your other options, 0.5 on your Parker Jotta here, and... even it is a little heavier than the Hinderer Investigator in bronze at 1.4. But anyways, the weight is really nice in the hand for actually writing. I appreciate that. Clip on this guy is actually great. It looks to be titanium, and it's nicely adhered with these external screws, which you can unscrew at any point for polishing underneath it, as well as if you accidentally torque the clip and spring the clip, all you need to do is unscrew it, give it a bend, and screw it back in. And your problem is solved. As opposed to the knives, then flashlights. This is a pen, Nick. This is a pen. As opposed to the pens where, you know, it's fixed in there and you're having to fight weird battles. Anyways, there you go. It is made in the US of A, which is not a bad thing at all. See, US of A. It does take any Parker G2 size refill, which means same kind of refill as your Parker Jotta. So you could swap this in, no problem. So you've got a lot of options for ink, and chances are, if you go to any given office supply store, they're gonna have a refill for you. I like the fact that this pen is not at all tactical looking. Despite being really beefy and capable of EDC, it's really completely, absolutely boring in a lot of ways. I mean, this looks like it's kind of most at home in a machine shop or something like that, rather than, you know, on the battlefield. And so that means that this can pass in the executive lounge. I don't know, do executives have lounges? I don't freaking know. But anyways, it's not tactical, and that's a beautiful thing, especially also for travel. No one's going to look at this as anything other than a pen if you're traveling, so that's a nice thing. And then, yeah, so there's just a lot of good here. It's solid, it's got a nice weight in the hand, the distribution is good of the weight, the clip is great, it's made in the US of A, it's got a Parker G2 refill, which you can find everywhere. It's got some nice details, like the little carved logo here, and the match of the refill to the end here. It's just nice. And, you know, it's got a pretty damn simple design, which is beautiful. That isn't particularly tactical. Let's talk about the great of this particular pen. On the great side, the action on this pen is really great because of this bolt action thing. Because it's a simple idea. You've got spring tension pressing against here, and then if you press down against that spring tension and pop it over, the pen will protrude. That's really all that there is to it. So there's not moving parts, there's not fancy gears or cams or clicks or anything like that. All you're doing is moving the damn thing over. One thing I'll say is that it's also surprisingly quick. When I'd first seen these online, I kind of thought this might be a fine motor control sort of thing where you really need to, okay, pull it down, move it to the side, pop it back up. But the thing is, after just a little bit of carrying it, it's very, very easy to pop it in and out. You just kind of need to make sure your thumb's coming at it with the right angle here. If you pop it like that, it's over. Pop, it's over. No problem. And so I like it. It's pretty quick, and frankly, it's a lot quicker than taking the cap off of other pens that are actually capped. It's still a great pen, but different affair. So there you go. It also won't deploy in the pocket because there's not like a click on the top. It's not a cap that'll fall off on the bottom. It's easy, and it can also be deployed very quietly. So if you're in a meeting, you're not going to be that jackass because although you certainly can make it loud, if you need to, you can 100% do this quietly. And so that's a beautiful thing. So anyways, the greatest thing about this is that action, that bolt action, because it's a brilliant idea, and I think it's a great choice for a pen that's meant for medium to heavy UCDC. So there you go. Let's talk a little bit about the bad here. On the bad side, first off, once this guy starts to patina, and you can see it's already patinaing. I polished this guy up yesterday for the review, and you're already starting to see little hints of it. It's a nice wabi-sabi, but the thing is, after a lot of patinaing, handling this guy a lot can leave your hands with a little bit of a coppery, bronzy smell, which is not a terrible thing, but it is something you got to keep in mind. Another thing that is a little bit of an issue is that this unscrews very easily. So even just carrying it around in my shirt pocket, I often found that there was a little bit of looseness here. It's got a fair amount of threading on there, so it's not going to come out particularly easily, but it is something to keep in mind there. I would have preferred a little bit more positive retention on this guy. Inside there is a loose spring, and that's always something I'm not a huge fan of in a pen, just because it's very easy. Particularly if you're somebody who likes to fidget with your pen, it's very easy to lose that spring, have it go flying across the room, whatever, and without the spring, the pen is non-functional because there's no force pushing it back up against the bolt action. So that's just no good. I kind of wish that they'd found a way to make that spring captive in there. But, constraints, I get it. The refill this guy came with is an Itoya gel refill. It's okay. It's not great. It's, better than your crappy Bic pen, but it's not as good as, like, your Pilot G2 refill, and it's certainly not as good, in my opinion, as the Parker Quink. They've got some issues with leakage every so often, but it's not as good of a writer. Not a big fan there. The aesthetic on this guy is not going to be for everybody. As I said, this is a tool-looking sort of pen. This looks very at home in a workshop. It doesn't necessarily look as at home in the boardroom. So you got to keep that in mind. If you're trying to get this as a gift for somebody who's a highfalutin pen lover, this is not a highfalutin pen. If you want something equivalently durable and highfalutin, maybe look at your Prometheus, although this also has a toolish aesthetic. I tend to like pens that are tools. Maybe I'm a tool, who knows. It is a little bit on the heavy side for your shirt pocket. It's not terrible, and certainly there are other pens that are a lot worse, but you do feel it. And it does bounce around a fair amount in the pocket, and I'm not a big fan of that. There is not a whole lot of texturing going on this screw here that does the bolt action. In some ways that's good because it lets it slide around, but I'd almost prefer that to be a little bit rougher, particularly if you're trying to deploy it silently. It's easy for it to get away from you and pop out there. Not a big deal, though. One thing that I'm not a fan of is the fact that the clip is so far below the top of the pen. Because oftentimes, if you're clipping this onto a shirt pocket, it's okay that the top sticks up there. But if your shirt pocket has a flap, then this gets real awkward really quick. So I do prefer, in general, a pen where there is nothing really above the top of the clip, where it's kind of a deep carry pen, so to speak. Not the end of the world, and that's really personal preference, but for me, I think I would have preferred if this clip attached maybe horizontally so there was a little bit less in the way of clip, a little bit less in the way of anything hanging up above the pocket. And then finally, the price on this guy is a little on the higher side. This is a $125 pen. And it's not taking stellar refills, although you can get good refills for it. I mean, I don't know. It's pretty pricey. But at the same time, that's just bad. It's not ugly. It's for what they're doing and what they're doing well here, I can see paying that. But it's not something that everybody's going to want to pay 100%, especially when you can get a lot of the same writing quality out of a much cheaper sort of Parker Jada affair. So that's high. But if you're in the EDC world and you like high-end EDC, this qualifies and you're not getting your face ripped off. So there you go. That's the bad. It can have a little bit of a coppery bronzy smell, a little easy to unscrew, and it's easy to lose the spring. The stock refill ain't great. The aesthetic is going to be for some rather than for others. It's a little heavy in the pocket. It's a little high above the pocket here. And the price is a little bit on the high side. That said, on the ugly front, I didn't find any here. Really, there's a whole lot of good here. So let's just jump into the final conclusion here. Final conclusion is that, this may not be the only bolt action pen out there in the world, but it's a really good one. It's nicely made. It's beefy. It's a great tool. And it really feels like that. It feels like a really nice tool in your hands. And the construction on it is delightfully simple. And I love that a lot. Absolutely 100% love the construction on here. It's a little bit pricey, but, aside from a couple of nitpicks, that's really the only thing wrong with it. And so, for me, this is pretty uncontroversially a gem. It's not something that I am personally going to run out and get, because I got a lot of really nice pens already, but at the same time, I do like this a lot. And there is a real temptation there. So, there you go. That's the final conclusion. Great pen. Honestly, a gem. A little on the pricey side, but you know what? At the end of the day, if you love it, just do it. You're going to be happy. Hey, Peter, thanks again for sending this guy along, and I hope you all enjoyed this, that I made the right call, get it right, and that you have yourselves an absolutely wonderful rest of your day.